Welcome to VSB News Online for Thursday, December 18th. I'm Peter Cattell. Hundreds gathered somberly at the City Hall today for what is now known as 30-30 Thursday, a tribute to the 30 lives lost through gun violence since 2003. The names of the deceased were called out as a white dove was released to the sky. Deputy Mayor Donald Smith and the pastor of Mount Zion AME Church, Reverend Giacomo Franklin Smith, addressed the gathering.
This is a cry for help, for assistance, and all those words that define what our problem is today. They cannot do it alone, and today we stand for our sons and brothers to bring them home, to encourage them to become leaders and mentors, to steer them away from the evils of persuasion. Today, we make a change and start a movement, Bermuda. We make an impact and we stand in solidarity in an endeavor to stop this plague of gang and gun violence in our community.
We are here today simply to show Bermuda a spark of solidarity, and it is my prayer that it will set a fire in the hearts of some. Today we stage this 30-30 die-in as a show of community solidarity, that we value our sons, and to say to those involved in perpetuating this gang and gun violence that while you are our sons and while we value you, we refuse to accept as a norm our sons killing our sons in our community. We refuse to accept as a norm indifference and numbness towards the tragic loss of our sons to gang and gun violence. We refuse to accept as a norm the devaluing of lives by those who do not value their own life or understand their own value.
Government leader in the Senate, Michael Fay, told his colleagues in the upper house yesterday that he takes serious offense to Senator Mark Daniels' op-ed suggestion that the killing of young black males in Bermuda amounted to genocide.
I have to take serious issue with that statement in itself. To suggest that anyone around this table, from any political party, or I think anybody in the community, is standing by, sticking their head in the sand, is simply trying to find slogans to defeat gang violence, and then to compare the awfulness, and I accept, the behavior and the deaths of our black young men have been awful, but it is not genocide. But I have to tell you, I am offended by that. Genocide is a terrible, 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 terrible thing, as is gang violence, but comparing this to genocide of millions of people being gassed in chambers or slaughtered in Rwanda or any of these desperate things that have happened in the most recent desperate situation in Pakistan of a school children being murdered. That's genocide. This shameless journalism, to print it and to write it, because all it actually does is it stirs up again this sentiment in the community that people are doing nothing when you use phrases such as genocide to describe violence between certain groups of people that are not following the rules. What I'm saying is I'm just trying to reduce it to a common denominator. It's not genocide.
Two former Bermuda Regiment colonels today produced figures from two polls before and after Hurricanes Faye and Gonzalo, showing that the regiment enjoyed very considerable community support. That support included 69% of the 18 to 34 age bracket, the group most likely to oppose conscription. Support for using conscription rose to 55% of those surveyed in December. Releasing poll figures, Colonels Alan Rance and Eugene Rayner, representing the 9 colonels, stressed the need for conscription.
While we recognize that both political parties have publicly advocated that they wish to abolish conscription, we also feel, though, that members of the political parties may not fully understand the implications of doing that. And that's why we've undertaken to try to educate not only the public, but our political leaders with respect to the implications of this. If they are making a decision that they think is abolishing conscription because it's a violation of human rights, then they're making a they're basing a national policy on an erroneous premise. And I would suggest that that's not a wise thing to do.
General Forces Brown also quotes that there's 35 to 40% of the serving members who are volunteers who are now volunteers. But the vast majority of that group are in fact serving beyond their 3-year commitment, all right? The main point is that most of those people were in fact conscripts. The question is, would we have had them if we didn't have conscription? And that is our point. Will we be able to maintain the numbers required if we do not have conscription?
By the end of next year, cancer patients will not need to go overseas for radiation treatment. This as a result of the launching of a new initiative to bring radiation therapy to Bermuda. Tara Soares, Executive Director of the Bermuda Cancer and Health Care, says having radiation therapy here will close a significant treatment gap resulting in local comprehensive cancer care services. Judith Pancho-White, Vice President of the Center's Board of Directors, touched on the relief patients and their families will experience.
The recommendation is one machine for 100,000 population. So with 65,000 population, we will have that machine operating at 65% capacity. And I think, that's a reason why radiation didn't get to the island before, because of the cost. And I think what's changed, because we are a charity that does a lot of fundraising, we will be able to subsidize the cost to make it workable.
One of the reasons why I'm so committed to this program is the emotional cost, which you can't put a price tag on. Somebody goes away for radiation therapy. They're away for at least 4 to 6 weeks, sitting in a hotel room. They're basically only required to go to the hospital maybe for half an hour per day for radiation. They don't have the family support. We now know, medical science is that half the cure is mental well-being. And to be here in Bermuda with your loved ones, your family, your husband, your spouse, children, family, friends to support you, you can't put a price tag on that. And that's one of the things that when we have this radiation unit here, 99% of the people who contract cancer will be able to stay on island and have top-notch treatment.
And we'll be back with more news right after this.
The Marketplace Food Court is you and your family's one-stop shop. Start your day at the Breakfast Bar with omelets made to order and traditional Bermuda codfish breakfast. The chefs will cook lunch and dinner to your liking. Along with the salad bar, sandwich bar, sushi bar, and fruit bar, the Marketplace Food Court is your kitchen away from home. Every day is hassle-free with nutritious meals from the Marketplace Food Court. Visit us 7 days a week. Homemade cooking, quality service, all at prices you can count on.
Minister of the Environment, Jean Atherton, has been presented with the 2014 Reef Watch report, produced by the Bermuda Zoological Society last June under the sponsorship of Hiscox. The work of 100 volunteer divers across 40 patches of reefs, the report has its good news and bad news, according to Chief Scientist Dr. Thad Murdoch in an interview with VSB News' Brian Darby.
Based on the citizen science data collected by the Reef Watch citizen scientists, as well as our own data at the Bream Lab, corals are healthy, algae is generally in low abundance, and parrotfish and other plant-eating fish are very abundant. However, it does look like the predator fish, like snappers and groupers, are in low abundance, and it also looks like that's having an effect on our reefs already, in that damselfish, which grow a garden by killing corals, are causing damage to the reefs.
Now you need predator fish, don't you, to keep the reefs alive?
Yes, the predator fish keep the damselfish in check. And the damselfish are supposed to be here and they're natural, but we're supposed to have a lot of predators out there to eat them. And if the predators are taken out of the system, then it means the damselfish are released from predation, and then they cause problems. The government is working on trying to create new spatial management plans for the marine environment, which will hopefully lead to things like large marine parks where things like predatory fish would be left alone.
I suppose contamination and all the other man-made things are a constant worry.
Yes, and actually it's the support of the enforcement team that might be useful. There are fish wardens and the like, but I believe their budgets have been cut year after year.
The Bermuda Police Service has been highlighting Big Brothers and Sisters and the Women's Resource Center in its charitable efforts this year, at the request of Police Commissioner Michael De Silva. The climax came today when the two charities were invited to the Hamilton Police Station to receive their share of a huge pile of toys and food for needy families at the instigation of Acting Superintendent Calvin Smith and his CAT staff. He was thanked by Katrina Painter of the Big Brothers Big Sisters and Patrice Frith Hayward of the Women's Resource Center.
Well, ladies, welcome to Hamilton Police Station. As you can see, there's a multitude of canned goods and other items that we've collected on behalf of the Bermuda Police Service. We think that these two charities are two fitting charities of our deeds, and as police officers, we got to see firsthand some of this stuff. So we couldn't be happier than to present this to you, and I'm sure Miss Mons will help you divvy it up, and you're welcome.
It's a lot of families struggling in Bermuda, and within the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, we have a lot of children that are suffering, a lot of families that are suffering. And today I had a lady that came into our offices, and she said, Patrina, I know you guys normally have food vouchers and stuff like that during this period, and you know, we're really without. I haven't been working for a while. I have 4 children. Can you assist? And I said to her, I said, well, today I'm going over to the police station. I said, maybe I'll be able to do a little something. And now I come in and I see all of this stuff. And I just want to tell you guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart, and Big Brothers, Big Sisters, but especially our littles.
So we have the same type of, not same clients, because they have the little people. Ours are obviously adult women with children. And we have the same thing, as you can imagine, this time of year. The need is greater. We get more. We have requests all year. But at Christmas, certainly people want to provide for their children, not just toys, but food as well. I had a lady come in the other day. We all have stories. And this poor lady didn't have enough money to mail Christmas cards to her children overseas. She could buy the cards, but couldn't afford to mail the cards. So we mailed them for her. So obviously she doesn't have anything to eat either. So these are the things that help us tremendously.
And in sports, Bermuda cricketers win again in Barbados. Several Bermudians attend para-sports workshops, and 2 equestrian riders compete in the Netherlands. Earl Basin has the details and more in tonight's sports package.
All 4 Bermuda players, Delray Rollins, Onias Bascom, Trey Mendes, and Christian Burgess, were once again part of the ICC Americas team that took on the Barbados Combermere team at the Bryan Hall Park in Barbados. This game was a 50-over affair, with the ICC Americas team winning by 117 runs. Barbados Combermere won the toss and decided to field, with ICC Americas scoring 269 for 5 in their 50 overs. Burgess was the top scorer. He retired with cramp on 68 but resumed his innings at the end to finish on 83 not out. Burgess's 117-ball inning saw him hit 7 4s and 2 6s. Rollins scored 30 from 30 deliveries. Rollins hit 2 4s and 1 6 in his innings. Manders scored 7 and Bascom did not bat. In reply, the Barbados Combermere team were bowled all out for 152 in 48 overs. Bascom picked up 2 early wickets to finish with figures of 4 overs, 2 for 24. He held on to a catch as well. Rollins had figures of 8 overs, 1 for 25, and Manders bowled 1 over and he took 1 for 7. Manders also had a run out and Burgess held on to 2 catches. The match also saw the involvement of Bermuda umpire Kent Gibbons. Nearly 75 participants from 17 national Paralympic committees of the Americas region, including Bermuda, took part in a coaching and classification workshop recently in Mexico City. As part of the Road to 2015, the workshops were held at the Institute of Sport Development for High Performance Specialists and organized by Agitos Foundation and Toronto 2015 in conjunction with the Mexican Paralympic Committee. The workshops aim to be a first step to getting individuals involved in parasports. The sessions were part of the development activities for September's 2015 Para-American Games. Bermuda's Leonard Tebachue, who took part in the visual impairment classification course, was impressed. He was quoted as saying the organization was excellent and they had great facilitators. Overall, it was a great event, which we got to see many different athletes, and that helped a lot. It was really an interesting workshop. End quote. Gillian Teixeira and Rayshawn Birch began taking part in the PSC Rochdale horse jumping event in Holland. During the 1.40 meter medium tour in 2 phases, table against the clock class, Teixeira and Amarula finished 45th out of 79 competitors. The pair recorded a clear round time of 50:58. Birch competed on 2 horses in 1 class during the province 1.20 meter international jumping competition small tour in 2 phases at table A against the clock class. Birch finished 20th riding Stankaris. The pair clocked a time of 35:87 and they had 4 penalty fault points. Birch also competed on Super Held in the same class, but they were eliminated from the class. The United States Olympic Committee will bid for the 2024 Olympic and Paralympic Games. The committee will choose one host city from either Boston, Los Angeles, San Francisco, or Washington, D.C. The International Olympic Committee's deadline for applicants is September 15th, 2015, with a decision due in 2017. Over the past 2 weeks since Bermuda was officially announced as the host of the America's Cup 2017, there has been heightened public excitement regarding the anticipated opportunities associated with the America's Cup sailing events. Yesterday, the Minister of Education and Economic Development, Dr. Grant Gibbons, is quoted as saying, "We are pleased with the excitement and the enthusiasm that has been generated. We are also aware that many Bermudians and local companies are keen to find out as much as possible regarding how they can become involved in the America's Cup events. As I have stated previously, most recently last Friday, when I tabled the America's Cup Bill 2014, it is this government's intention that the benefits of the America's Cup be spread widely throughout the community." End quote. Well-known triathlete, cyclist, and runner Kent Richardson is now home resting following a scary incident on Sunday during the Flying Colors mountain bike race in Dockyard that took in casemates and the Maritime Museum. During the men's A division race, Richardson was negotiating the hulls of casemates. He came into contact with a wall and injured himself. Richardson required medical assistance at the scene and was later transported to the King Edward Memorial Hospital via ambulance for further diagnosis. It was there that Richardson would learn that he had a rib fracture, T6, T7, at the intersection of his vertebrae and a fracture on his coccyx. Richardson is quoted as saying, "I am in a lot of pain right now, but in 3 to 8 weeks, things should be better." When referring to the race, Richardson said, "I was going good in the race. I had a slow start. I started moving up, but got a bit too quick through the walls, and boom, the race was over for me." End quote. Bermuda's Flora Duffy has been recognized in the Triathlete Magazine Best of 2014 Awards, with the 2-time Olympian being named the most impressive crossover to date. In naming Duffy the most impressive crossover, Triathlete Magazine said the 2-time Olympian with an ITU pedigree became the first pro triathlete from Bermuda to win a world title when she captured the exterior crown in Maui in October after dominating the off-road circuit in 2014. I'm Earl Basden reporting for VSB Sports.
Looking at the weather for Friday, December 19th, there will be sunny breaks with 1 or 2 brief showers later in the day. The winds will be west-northwesterly, light to moderate, veering northwesterly moderate in the evening. We are expecting a high near 72 and a low near 62. Thanks for watching VSB News Online for Thursday, December 18th. I'm Peter Kitzel.